Joining me now is California Democratic Congressman John Garamendi, who's a member of the House Armed Services Committee. Congressman, thank you so much for being here.
Good to be with you.
What do you think? Is it a good idea to send the troops to the border, given the Trump administration showing numbers where illegal crossings are on an uptick this month?
Well, it would be nice to have a plan. I think of the principle of the 5 Ps. Prior planning prevents poor performance. There is no plan. Trump woke up Sunday morning or Monday morning and decided that there was this huge crisis. There was an invasion coming from the south, and we needed to meet that invasion with the military. Well, he discovered that the military couldn't do it, but maybe he could order up the National Guard. And so, oh my, we're going to send the National Guard to the border. All well and good. All of us want to have strong border. We want safe borders. We don't want drugs. We don't want illegals crossing the border. That's all good. But how can you do it wisely? Is there a role for the National Guard? Well, there already is. California has had 55 National Guardsmen working every day on the southern border between San Diego and Tijuana and over in Mexicali, providing a variety of services, looking at intelligence, coordinating the information flows, doing some construction, all to the good. Can we send more? Well, we certainly could in California if the federal government's willing to pay for it. We haven't heard anything about that yet, but if the president wants us, California, to send more troops, then show us the money, because it's very, very expensive to do this kind of work. I suspect Texas, Arizona, New Mexico feel the same way. And we'll see what happens here. But beyond that, the facts indicate that there is not a tsunami rolling over the southern border, nor is the drug issue only on the land. The Coast Guard confiscated more than 200 tons of drugs last year. 20 tons were confiscated on the land border. So where's the real problem here? Maybe the problem is more on the water. Maybe we ought to put money into that, and I would suggest that's a good idea. In any case, the bottom line of this is prior planning. Yeah. There is no such thing in the Trump administration.
Let's talk about numbers. Customs and Border Protection just put out new figures showing a 37% increase in illegal border crossings in March compared to February, and a 203% increase in from March 2017. That being said, there's usually a spike in the springtime, and if you look at past numbers, they always start to go down in June. On the whole, border crossings are at historic lows. The president even tweeted about it this morning. He said it was still unacceptable, but he admitted that they're at historic lows. Does that necessitate sending the Border Patrol to the border right now?
Well,
the National Guard, not the Border Patrol.
Well, either way, let's start at the beginning. Start with the facts. I know these are totally unimportant to the Trump administration. They could care less about the facts about anything, including what's going on in Syria. But the reality is the facts would indicate that there is much, much better border control month to month, year to year, than there has been in the past. And in fact, this morning, Trump said it is a 46-year low. Last year, 2017. Yeah. And frankly, 2018 is tracking pretty much along like 2017, a 46-year low.
Congressman,
we don't have a monumental problem here. We have a problem. We can deal with it. Keep in mind, excuse me, but we added $1.6 billion to the budget for the border control. That's money that Trump hasn't yet figured out how to spend. About 500 new Border Patrolmen. All of that's there for him. If he wants to send the National Guard, fine. Show the money to the states. Make sure they're doing something useful, not just a political thing. And one more thing, if I might just take some time. Isn't it interesting that it was 2006 that George W. Bush sent the National Guard to the border? It was 2010 that Barack Obama sent the National Guard to the border. And guess what? It's 2018. What's similar? These are contentious midterm elections in which the president is likely to lose seats. So what do? Send the troops.
So you're saying this is political more than anything else. I want to get you on one more topic before we run out of time. Sure. President Trump and GOP leaders in Congress have indicated that they might try to eliminate some funding increases in the omnibus package that was passed the other day. You voted for that omnibus package. If they do that, if they eliminate some of the items in there, what is that going to mean for bipartisan legislation going forward? Will Democrats be able to trust Republicans when they decide and agree on a compromise for a bill that gets sent to the president and actually signed by the president?
Well, first of all, it's pretty clear through various court cases over the time that the president's task is to carry out the full faith of the laws that have been passed. And if the laws require the president to do one thing or another and provide the money for it, it is his job to do that. And presidents have been sued in the past for failing to carry out the congressional laws, including the appropriations. Can they do it? Yes. Can they stall? Yes. None of that is proper or constitutionally correct. But it has been done in the past, and I wouldn't put anything past this administration. Let me just give you one example of that. The State Department had $120 million to push back on Russia. Not one nickel was spent by Tillerson. $200 million was set aside for reconstruction in Syria. The president has pushed that aside and refuses to spend that money. Yet he wants to turn Syria over to Russia, Iran, and Turkey. And in fact, those three countries had a meeting just yesterday in Ankara, and guess who was not invited? Trump and the American administration. So you want to see Iran not only operating in Iraq, but also in Syria. That's precisely where President Trump is going with his non-program, no strategy for Syria.
Congressman John Garamendi. Congressman, thank you very much for joining us.